Sorry about that, guys. Bit of technical difficulties. Well, we're back again, talking points. And there's a lot to talk about. It's been a little while, but we're going to do this show and we are going to talk all things Tottenham.
It's just different.
Hello, welcome to PRTv. I'm Sam Spurs for Life. This is Talking Points, episode number 86. It's been a while, as I said, but we're back. We're back. But there's not many of us tonight. Everybody's kind of lost the Spurs love. But I've got someone who's clearly in love with Spurs, not in love with the manager. The Turin Troll, man. He's named in the Turin Troll. My friend, one and only Mr. Shawhell. How you doing?
I'm not bad, Sam. Yourself?
I'm good, man. I'm still laughing from that name. I can't get over that name. Just looking for the bloody volume button on my thing because it's a bit low. But apart from that, I'm all good, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put up the what's this called? I'm just a little bit slow today. Sorry about that. Talking Points 86. I called this, and I'm gonna just find the overlay to put up. Is this Conte's real plan? What is the plan? That's firstly what I want to know. So I thought, we haven't done this for a little while. We could have a bit of a conversation, talk about how you feel about Antonio Conte. He's had a bit of a tough season. We know that. We've seen, a number of close friends, very close people to him passed away. He's had his own illnesses. He's still living in a hotel. Is that correct? I've heard all kinds of stories that he's not settled and blah, blah, blah. And results haven't proved too good either in the last few weeks. We're out all the cups. And the proverbial let's chase top four is on. Is this the plan all along? Is this part of this bigger, and we talked about it, I kind of touched about it in the reaction show. I don't know if there's non-disclosures going on. There's, people can't say things. I mentioned it before. Jose's come out and said, there's things I can't talk about. Conte's doing his best to push and push and push. And it's almost clearly stated, you might be able to tell me differently, but I don't think he's staying. And he's pretty much said that, he's pretty much said, he knows what he wants to do. Anybody that talks like that, I know what I want to do and doesn't give any positives, doesn't strike me as someone that wants to stay. As well as that, all the player transfer talk that we've heard, did he actually want any of these players? It's a right mess. But he's said he's an elite manager. He's got the trophies to prove it. He's got the CV to prove it. Why did these elite managers throw the toys out of the pram and almost like destroy everything within what they've got, when I don't think it's that bad? In terms, people can say, the players are... Yeah, the players aren't the best players that we could have got. The players aren't the best players to take us into that top 1 and 2, but we're fourth in the league. We've got a better squad than I would say the likes of Newcastle. I would say a better squad than the likes of Brighton. They're all, competing on fronts. Sean, what is the plan? What is Conte's plan? What do you think the Turin Troll is about to do next?
To be honest, there's so much about Tottenham that you don't know what the plan is. It seems, certainly pre-World Cup, there was lots of warm words about Conte. And, to be honest, I've only really come down on him in the last while since he started calling us out as fans. I did feel that he did a great job in sort of recovering us from the disastrous start under Nuno last season. And, getting top four was a kind of a miracle, given that we had 10 games, which is almost a quarter of the season. under a coach who was clearly not suited to our club. But it's very difficult to see what the plan is. The only thing that really comes to mind, and it's come out from discussing the finances more than anything, is that the plan for the owners is to be in or around the Champions League, and that's the minimum. And I think they've kind of they seem to have set a precedent where, finishing in the top four is the most important thing. And financially, you can see the reasons behind that. But that's not why I trot up to White Hart Lane, as I still call it, every fortnight or every month or whatever it is I go to celebrate getting top four. It doesn't in the end, it doesn't enthrall me. It was great when we first got it, but when we've sacrificed winning other silverware, I mean, Manchester City, who have ambitions to win the Champions League, they didn't mind having a go and winning the Carabao Cup year after year after year. And I do think there's a disconnect at the club. And there probably has been since maybe midway through Pochettino's reign, where it was clear that what the football side of the club was saying was not being matched in the boardroom. And maybe Conte's just detected that, and he realizes that he gets I don't know, maybe he gets a bonus for being in the top four, which he doesn't get for winning a cup.
Let me just tell you this, Sean. This is what I've just had a look at, and it needs fact checking. I'm not going to say everything here is correct. Mm-hmm. To win the final of the FA Cup, you get 2 million in prize money. If you win your semi-final, you get 1 million. If you win your quarter-final, you get 450,000. Fifth round proper, 225. Fourth round, 120. Third round, 105. So we start from the third round. So you can roughly work it out. 100, a mil, 2 mil. You're looking at about 4 and a bit mil if you win the FA Cup, if all those things add up. Now, I think we've seen, and you've probably got more information about the finances. Was it something like 60 million to get to the round of 16? Or I might be a bit exaggerated, but it's certainly a lot more than 4 and a bit million.
Oh yeah, I'm sure the figure I've seen, the figure I've seen, whether this is true, is like it's just 34 million to qualify.
There you go.
For the Champions League.
So you can see exactly the reason. I think I was probably in denial. I want a trophy. I want a trophy. We've said this. Me and you both said this before. It's all about the glory. It's all about winning. Football, to me, it's not about getting fourth and getting paid. Mm-hmm. They get handsomely paid anyway, the players. The clubs are not short of a bob or two. They've got all kinds of things going off. They've got a lot of events happening at if you miss out on the top four for a few seasons, which we've had that recently. Mm. We've also had COVID, which was an impactful event as well. But if you just took that out, if you don't qualify for Champions League, yes, there has to be a bit of a dent. But usually we've all been all right. We've still been able to buy players. That's a different story in terms of the policy about buying and who we're buying from, who we're buying for. But it's not a nail in the coffin job. It can't be for us because we had many, many years outside of top four. Now, our finances, because of our stadium, is now built a lot higher. There's big debts in the club. You've got a lot to service. You've got a lot of people to pay. You've got a lot to keep up to maintain because you've got a 62,000-seater stadium. But ultimately, we support Tottenham Hotspur because we want to win. We want to win. I've said this time and time again. Top four, great. Everybody says, we need to make top four because it will attract better players. All right, then. Who have we attracted now? We've attracted players that the manager don't even want. So there's nothing going on at this club that's organised enough for us to take advantage of getting top four, getting a manager like Conte and building on that. I saw something ridiculous the other day, and again, it needs to be fact checked. Poch left in 2019, 2020 because he wanted more funds to invest in the club. They said no. Well, we don't know what they said, but he was sacked pretty much soon after that. I've read somewhere that we spent something like on transfers and managers 440 million. Please, somebody's just go and do since that point to this point now. And somebody said to me, well, why don't we just spend that money on getting the players for Poch? And I was like, there you go. We are a circus in terms of our organization. What we need, and even if new owners come in, they would need to strip everything back and just start again. Obviously not from a stadium perspective and not going back. I'm not talking about getting rid of all the players and playing youth team, but just have a vision, a philosophy, a strategy, a way. Get some more information out to us as fans so we know what's going on. But some of them numbers, Sean, this craziness, how what waste goes on, and we're talking about a team here that's, not short of a bob or two.
Well, if the last figures are to be believed, we're in the top 10 of football clubs in the world. I mean, we're not, as you say, not short of a bob or two. I mean, amongst that figure you're quoting, and I have no reason to doubt it or whatever. I mean, you think of the money we spent on one position, right back, right wing back, call it what you want, to replace Kyle Walker, who was sold for 50 million. It's unbelievable the amount of money that's been wasted in there. But like this football club, too many decisions are made, or too many recruitment decisions are made by people who don't know what they're talking about when it comes to football.
Yeah, there's a lot of people involved. Again, going back to that transfer thing, Conte has blatantly come out and said most of these players here, if not all of them, he didn't really want. I don't know. Did he want Porro? He must have wanted Porro. Surely he wanted Porro. But again, I've not heard too much about it. He certainly didn't sing the praises of Danjuma. Didn't sing the praises of Richarlison at the time. Longlet didn't hear him say, oh, yeah, that's my... Even Perisic, I've not heard him say, yeah, I wanted him. He wasn't first choice. Again, we have to go by what the rumours are and what's going off on Twitter and what's going off elsewhere. But he's pretty much confirmed not a lot of these players are my players. I don't understand that when we did that already with Jose. I don't understand how you... What do you think they told him to make Conte sign? Or was it just about the money?
Well, who knows when that decision was made? Obviously, from what I understand, it was Levy that did all the negotiation with Conte in the end, because when PRTv approached him, he didn't want to, he wasn't keen. So I suppose it was... Those are conversations that we will never be privy to unless Conte starts to sing like the proverbial canary, as you said the other night.
He's going to sing,
when he gets back to Italy. I mean, I got the impression that he was I don't know whether he was maybe getting under the feet of his wife once he left Inter, and she made him take the job, rather than he particularly wanted. He never really seems to embrace it, and he doesn't. He's been quite disparaging about our football club. So I don't know. It's an odd one, but if you throw into the mix that we've got the sword of Damocles hanging over PRTv, who's supposed to be the recruitment guy, who was supposedly supposed to be, having this recruitment team, and he was going to be responsible for it all. The fact that he's recruited underneath him people who've been associated with Everton, who've probably got one of the worst recruitment records in recent years in the Premier League, you do wonder. You do wonder what has gone on. It's almost like self-sabotage at points. We seem to have champagne taste, but only beer money.
But this doesn't make sense, though. This comment here from Dino. Dinosaur. Thank you, Dino. 60 million on Bastoni and not Richie would have made Conte happy. I don't know why we made such a massive I questioned it at the time, but then again, I had to circumvent that with thinking, yep, we've got to buy players, we've got to spend people. Our group's always lively. Oh, we don't spend money. We don't spend money. Well, we spent £60 million on Richarlison to bring him into the club. Brazil's number one, not known for scoring 20 goals per season, but certainly a good player, a squad player, a player that will give everything. But again, I think Pipe said it on WhatsApp. Did we just spend 60 million for a workhorse? And Nigel said that as well. We didn't spend 60 million pounds. We wanted quality. Now, I don't know what conversations went on when they said, right, Conte, Antonio, we're not quite sure if we're going to get this defender, but we're going to spend 60 million on Richarlison. Do you think he went, okay then? I don't know. I don't know what's going on, because this is the point. If he didn't want that guy, we could have spent or certainly made attempts to get Bastoni. Whether we would have got him, whether the player wanted to come, that's a different matter. And we've also got to take that into consideration, people, because they're always saying, why don't we get him? Why don't we get him? Not every single player wants to come to Tottenham Hotspur. Quite a few don't. Leandro Trossard being one of them. That's the sort of things that I'd question in myself. How comes we've let this player come and go? But then again, we got Basuma. And what have we done to him? Nowhere to be seen. So is it the club? Is it the scouts? Is it Paratici? Is it Conte? Is it Levy? He's just throwing everything up there for me. It's just a complete shambles, if I'm honest with you, in terms of what they're doing to get players in of the quality that suits the manager that they've got. Do you understand where we're going?
No, I mean it's become more and more opaque as the season's gone on. It's got more, the glass has got mistier and mistier, and we don't see. It seems to we're rolling on, taking the punches. I don't know whether Conte has just gone with let's get top four, and that means getting out of the cups. I really don't know. It's the construction of the team is madness. I mean, at the beginning of the season, we had strength on the left back, and now all our strength is on the right back, and we've got complete weakness on the. We're playing a guy who'd been playing left centre back, left wing back now. There's no rhyme or reason at the moment, and I just think you come to accept that Conte's going. I mean, there's nothing in his body language which suggests he's going to suddenly, once we've got top four, say, yeah, I'll sign a new contract. So we should be thinking about succession, but how can you plan for succession when it seems Levy and Paratici have got different ideas of who the manager should be? They've got different ideas of where the football should be. I don't know. I mean, I think it leads to the kind of despair which makes me think, do I really want to watch them for the rest of the season? I'll come back in August and see, and just to take the rough with the smooth. But of course, and then again, the overarching thing is someone not too far from us is having the season of their life in terms of their league position, their points, their winning, and we ground them into the dust in the spring, or last spring, but it's now. It's theirs to lose. I think the title, and that's going to make summer even harder.
The further Manchester City, and I was talking to someone at the gym about this. The further Manchester City go in this Champions League, is obvious. That's their focus. They've got Baby Robot, as he's known, to score 2,000 million goals for them over the course of his career, and he's already started very, very, very well. So he's now the leading goal scorer for his age, quickest to get to whatever number he's on in the Champions League for his age. He clearly is a player that they wanted to get for the long term, but I think primarily this is City we're talking about, to get that Champions League this season. Not at the detriment of not winning anything else, but if it came as a crunch, push come to shove, are we going to play our best players in this? Now, bearing in mind, City have got some of the best players in their squad is deep, so it's not necessarily the best 11, and you've got some also rounds, but they have got some significant players that need to play for them to be at their very, very best. If it comes to semi-final, second leg, and you've got a game against, I don't know, an Everton at the weekend, or let's say it's a tougher opposition. Let's say it's an Arsenal at the weekend. They're going to go for the Champions League. And not to say they're not going to make the effort for the league game, but their eggs will be in that Champions League basket because they've won 4 out of 5 league titles. It's not like Pep's under pressure to win the league. He's under pressure to win the Champions League. And that's our problem from an Arsenal perspective, if they get deep into it. Now, if they don't get the Champions League, there's going to be a lot of talking about what's going on. Is Pep the right person? So they're going to have a little bit of a mini meltdown as well before they come back. So that gives Arsenal even more of an advantage. So either or, they're in the box seat, as you said. They are in the box seat, but we can't worry about that. Last season, we were pretty much in this position. What my hopes were because Conte was only just getting his feet under the table. He kept saying, we need time. I accepted not getting any trophies last year. I accepted the effort that was made to get top 4. It was nice to see us go past Arsenal. That's not going to happen again this season. But what has changed from last season? Not a lot. Players have come, players have gone. A number of players have come in. Conte had a full preseason. You said the only thing that you can throw into the mix is the World Cup. Has that had an effect on us? I'm not quite so sure. But then again, we've got a significant injury with the likes of Bentancur, who did play in the World Cup, blah, 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 blah. I want to know what happened in the summer didn't push us and elevate us, apart from the obvious, the signings, because there was enough work that's gone in. We saw all the laps they were doing. We saw the preseason, and the players are fit. The players from last season, certainly there must be some improvement from last season. So what is it? Is it just the personal issues? Is it the fact that this thing as well, that Conte's, we've got we can trigger him staying? Trigger what? If we was to trigger an extension for him to stay, he would just have a gardener's, what they call it, busman's holiday, whatever it is. Do you know,
he'd go on gardening leave, yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just going to be there. I would use the word tossing it off or use the phrase, but that's not the phrase I want to use, but I've said it anyway. He's not going to be bothered. So what position are we in? And what do you actually think? Do you think he's going to be motivated to get top 4? What is his motivation now? Self-pride?
Well, we kind of touched on it in my ranting the other night that, you know, it's about, for Conte, I think it's about protecting his brand. So if he was to get into the top 4 2 years running, in spite of the fact that our recent history, we've been getting into the top 4, with the exception of Jose and Ryan, we you know, it's that would be enough for him to make it. They love him in Italy. I mean, Ali Gold said that in that press conference in Milan, you know, in the first leg, the paparazzi were gathered around him, and everyone was talking to him, and he was, you know, it's clear that he's still held in high regard in Italy, and there will be vacancies this summer in Italy. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there'll be talk. There's talk of Jose, you know, on the Shugli now at Roma, who are the team I follow in Italy. God, and you know, there'll always be a place for Conte, and they won't, you know, they won't say that his 2 years in England have damaged him. They will expect him.
Do you want to see him back? Before I just read this, right, before we talk about that, it's going to read Terry Wright's comment out here. Thanks, Terry, for this. We desperately needed a versatile forward who could play across the front three and provide adequate cover for Kane if needed. That's why we spent 55 million on Richie. I still think it was good business. Good business, maybe. The right business, I'm not sure. Because that's not where the priority was, particularly when we did have in our midst at the time Steven Bergwijn. You know what I mean? We had players who I think weren't given an opportunity to play at the club. We've seen that already. So 55 million on Richie was a gamble. I still think he's a good player. He's a squad player. And that's what you have to pay. So I'm not complaining that we spent it. Would I have spent it on him? Possibly not. I would have looked elsewhere to strengthen it in terms of players. But maybe we couldn't get the players. But we can't, as I said to people before, we can't have it both ways. We can't say, oh, we're not spending money, but then complaining when we spend 55 million on a proven Premier League player. Although maybe it wasn't the right business. It was still probably good business. Poch, do you want him back?
Do I want Pochettino back?
Mm-hmm.
Not currently, no. You know, because I think I would gladly see him come back, but I wouldn't want him to come back to the squad that he would inherit, because too many of those players were there the last time they were around, and in the end, that squad got him the sack because they just threw the towel in after the Champions League.
I think he did as well. I think, to be honest,
well, he did it. He did as well. There's no doubt about it. He's not blameless. I mean, you know, I heard that he, you know, rather than going back to England with the rest of the team, he flew off to Barcelona and you know, just kind of abandoned them after the final. And you know, there's not no fault on Pochettino, and the football he played was interesting, exciting. We at least you know, had a go. I mean, it's not often that Pep and Klopp would say they were scared of a Tottenham Hotspur team, but you know, I do remember that they would often say that we would give them a game, and that's true. But I don't know. I think the thing that holds us back is that we don't even match the wages of Arsenal. Arsenal pay a lot more, not a lot more, but significantly enough more for a player to have their head turned and go there rather than come to us. And then you can forget about the wages that they'll get at Man United or Man City. You know, that they're stratospheric, but they can afford it because they've got benevolent owners. You know,
it's true, very true. Our own Jewel, do you like what I did there? Our own Jewel, Pavanjeet Jewel, PvP, positive vibe Pav, but even Pav can't be that positive. Sorry, lads, just got on, couldn't make it on. He hasn't done anything useful at the club. Last season got us top 4, and this season he's led us out of competitions rather than progress. Useless. Can't disagree with that, but what I'm saying is, was that what his mantra was? Was the club have said, and in so many words, because we've seen it, listen, if push comes to shove, Antonio, we don't really want to win the FA Cup if it means that we don't get into the Champions League. Now, looking at some of the numbers, 4 and a bit million to win the FA Cup over the period of those games, 30-something million just to qualify for Champions League. It's a no-brainer. And that's why I'm thinking that's where it's at. I'm not quite sure Conte, one, he's not been given all the tools anyway, we know that. But 2, I don't think he's also been given license to necessarily, don't get me wrong, I don't think the club has said, don't win that. But what I'm saying is conversations must be had. Conversations must be said to, right, this is what we've got with our plan in the next few months. These are the games we've got. Where are we headed? Are we going to prioritize this? You can't tell me that those things don't happen. It happens at grassroots level. It must happen at professional level. But what comes off the back of that? What's the decisions? Because all we see is results against Sheffield United and think, what's the effing going on at the club? But then we've got 5 out of 7 games in the league, top of the form charts.
I mean, here's a disconnect in the sort of Conte discourse, if you like. He talks about mentality, the mentality of the players. Nothing builds mentality more than winning a trophy. More than winning a trophy. Look at what Ferguson's first trophy with Man United was an FA Cup, which they just about got. They were nearly knocked out by a lower league team, I seem to remember, on the way there. But once they won that, it infused in those players, we like this. Let's do more of this. And if you ask the players from the 80s, they'll say winning those FA Cups made them more want to do it again, you know. And we had that golden period in the early 80s, and you know so that's why I would rather won the FA Cup and finished outside the top 4 this year. But I'm a fan. I want to see us win. I want my day out at Wembley. I want my, you know, going up Tottenham High Road, getting crushed in the bus parade or whatever. That's what I want, but I'm not going to get it because the distortion in the rewards is sometimes what it appears to be, and again, we'll never know for certain, beyond the plans of the current owners.
Again, there's this comment from you from Matt, and we thank you for all your comments. Please keep sending them in, guys. It's not any agendas on here. We've all got our own opinions, and we all vary in our opinions. So we want to see as many comments as possible. Why are you not protesting against Levy Enid to get them to sell up and go? Right, I'll tell you why I'm not protesting. I've looked over the period of the time, and a lot of people said, "Oh, Enid have done this, Enid have done that." They ain't done this. They have done things. They just haven't done everything very well. They haven't had a very good transfer policy over the last 20 years. They haven't really, as I said, in my opinion, given us a philosophy, a vision. They keep saying to dare is to do and all of that. That's just saying. We don't know. What is your vision? What is the club's vision? Is it just to maintain good level of football and to try and progress into the Champions League year? And that could be a vision. That's not a bad vision if you actually said that. But when you've got a disconnect between the fans or certain fans who want to win trophies and others who are just clearly wanting to just do a top 4, you know, I don't think any owner that comes in is necessarily, unless they are just somebody who's a very, very keen Tottenham fan with billions and billions of pounds, they're just not going to throw money in. Those days I think have gone. You've seen what's happening at Chelsea. Now, I don't care what anybody says. He might be throwing all that money around now, but the American business owners, they will want a return on their buck. They will want a return on their investment. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're trying to stagger everything, 8-year deals, 10-year deals to get players over a period of time. That's going to go bang. And these people are not going to lose money, their own money. You know, I'm not protesting because anybody that comes into Spurs, it's going to be a massive, massive reset. And it's going to be everything from bottom up. And that's what I'm not looking forward to in terms of, is it better the devil you know? Yeah, at this moment in time, because I know what's going on now. Maybe I've been blinded to it a little bit, but I kind of see it's not about the glory. It's not about the glory. It is literally about maintaining this money. And maybe it is a future thing. Maybe it is a 5-year plan. If we can get all these finances in, then we can start. But tell us that. And if that is the plan, that's still a bloody risk because lots of teams have wanted to do that. Liverpool wanted to do that for years when they hadn't won the Premier League, all those years, nearly 30 years. Manchester United have been in the doldrums now for X amount of time and spent oodles of money. It's just Man City and Chelsea, really, that you could say have got relatively back-to-back success over a number of years. So, yeah, that's why I'm not protesting, because ultimately, whoever comes in, I'm not quite sure they're going to be able to fix the problem within a short period of time. And that's what people are looking, short periods of time to get us to win trophies. What's your thoughts, Sean?
Well, I do think that we're hamstrung because there are people who want the current ownership removed and will turn up at the gates of the training ground, or but for most people, their vision is really it's Tottenham Hotspur is a social thing almost. You know, it's good if we win things, but they're not concerned about it. And that's the truth. We've not got the most proactive fan base, and there are reasons to say, just when you look at that spaceship when you come along Tottenham High Road and see what we used to have, and all the praising about the training ground, but in the end, having all those facilities doesn't mean anything if you don't get the players to go out on the park. And one of the things that's stopping us is the fact that we don't pay the same wages as those clubs above us. Because wages mean everything. Because look at well, we
can't keep doing this. We can't keep bringing these managers in, not supporting them, not backing them, and then going back and then getting a little bit excited in the summer because we're connected with this player, and then we buy this and we buy again. It becomes a merry-go-round. So what do we need to do differently if we've got the same owners? Because I think they're not going anywhere at this present moment.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we have to like it or lump it. It seems. The thing is, people who had like leave you out and said, we should boycott and give up our season tickets. There are tens of people behind me for my season ticket. Do they really care about legacy fans? What they call legacy fans? The fact is that there wouldn't be a focus on that corner of Park Lane if there wasn't a football club. But now we're moving away from that the football club is what it's about. It's a 12-month a year entertainment centre. And yet for 9 months of the year, it's filled with people who come hoping to see something that will excite them, something they haven't seen at all this season. Football, the thing that dragged us to supporting that team. Having a go, being attacking, entertaining. There seems to be two wings at odds with each other, and ne'er the twain shall meet. We've not got a unity across the fan base. We've not got unity between the management and the fans. We've not got unity between the leadership and the coach and the fans. So we're Conte's plan. This is what this was all about. Is just to navigate that and maybe come June get the hell out of Dodge. He's going to have pocketed a couple of years of decent money, very decent money, and he'll have his pick of jobs in Italy.
Yeah,
we're left picking up the pieces, wondering.
I said this before. We are always left picking up the pieces after a manager hiatus that we've had. We were left picking up the pieces after Jose. Nuno, whatever that was in the club, that I don't know. But again, we had to get over that. But we did have a bit of a plan in terms of getting the next manager, and I understand that. We had a plan to get Jose in after Poch. I get that. But that was the end of the plan. This is how we get this manager in. What next? This is what it seems to be.
People speak up for Levy and say he desperately wants to win a trophy with Tottenham. But everything he does conspires to stop us from winning a trophy. When do you turn round to yourself, Daniel, and say, maybe I'm the problem here?
Yeah. And that would be, I would welcome new owners from that perspective, a fresh start. But again, unless they're going to come in and they have got, some serious money. I'm not talking about just an ordinary billionaire. They've got to be, state billionaires. That sort of money coming in. The sort of money that we're going to need, because everybody else is doing that. Newcastle aren't standing still. Prime example. Arsenal, given what they're doing this season, aren't going to stand still. Man City, obvious. Man United, obvious. Chelsea, obvious. Now we've got little other players coming into the mix. Teams that are thinking a little bit more strategically, smartly. likes of Brentford, the likes of Brighton. They get the right managers in to match what they've got. And they don't just chuck the towel in when things don't go according to their plan. They coach, they manage. We seem to get managers that just say, oh, well, and that's the only thing I said before. If the club sacks Conte, I'm done. But what Conte's done in terms of his efforts to maintain his CV, to maintain this stature, hasn't been enough for me. I've not been impressed with some of the performances. I don't care what players he said he's got missing and what he's not coached these players because he ain't changed anything much. I saw Ten Hag come in. Maguire, nightmare. You can't work with this. Get me somebody else. Get me Varane. Yeah, okay. They spent money. Get him Casemiro. But he changed his system. He changed the way of playing to get them to win because he can't just keep saying, well, give me time. Just give me Manchester United. You don't get time. Most clubs these days, you don't get time. Look how many managers bloody Watford change. Do you know? And look where they are. Football is a business, and as much as we don't want to talk about it, the business side of things is more prevalent than the winning side of things for certain clubs. Ours is one of them. We don't have the pedigree of Liverpool. We don't have the pedigree of Man United. We don't have the pedigree even now in the short term of City and Manchester and Chelsea. We have to cut our cloth accordingly, but there's opportunities to win trophies. There was an opportunity to win the FA Cup this season, Carabao Cup this season. We're not taking it. And I don't understand if that's because of just this financial thing or it's just bad luck. What else could there be in this? It can't just be luck in this. I just think now I want to see what they've got to say. I want to hear what they've got to say in terms of the board, in terms of the club, media. They've got so many things that they do. Who should come out and talk to us fans, Sean?
Well, the person that should come and speak to us is Daniel Levy. And he hasn't done that since the days of Pochettino. And and to be honest, I could understand why he wouldn't, because he would get a roasting currently, because we've gone from playing really attractive football based on young players, and we've now got a mismatch of a squad. We've spent a fortune on right wing back, and we're only now just seeing someone who's possibly in Poro who's possibly going to be as good as Walker. But then who's going to be the coach next season? Who's going to be the coach next season? Will they play wing backs? Pochettino will definitely not play wing backs. He'll play a flat back four. And he'll play 2, and he'll play 3, and he'll play 1. But I just,
that makes me slightly ill when you talk about that in terms of again. I'm not really a fan of managers coming back and doing this. I'm not really a fan of that because the first time you should have.
Well, there isn't a good example in history.
There isn't really, is there? And there's certainly not going to be. He's not going to come in and transform us and make us league champions a year afterwards. It's a lot of things. So I'm not on this Poch bandwagon. Well, we'll say the football's better. I agree with that 100%. But you can get a lot of other managers out there who play better football. That's Zagrebi, who's the Brighton manager. Lovely football. Deserby. Lovely football. But they had a plan. They had Harry Potter, Graham Potter, if you want to call him his real name. And they had a way of playing. And they brought somebody else in who's continued that. Makes sense to me because you've got players in there that he can coach. He didn't have to throw out everything. They kept their players. They kept Casado when he was under pressure to be sold. They had to get rid of Basuma. That happened because Basuma was going anyway. Trossard again coming to the end of his contract, but they've kept everybody else. And what they've done is they've just added a few pieces around it based on what I consider their philosophy. And that's Brighton we're talking about. Brighton.
So you could say the same in a slightly different recruitment style at Brentford, where they use a lot more data. They'd use that Moneyball system from the movie, whatever, from the baseball. But it seems to work for them. They're not struggling to go up and down. Interesting point. Josie went back to Chelsea, but how did it finish?
Oh yeah, it ended shockingly.
He only did 18 months on his return.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
but Jose got everything thrown at him when he went back there. He got everything he wanted until the point he didn't get what he wanted. Then he threw his toys out of the pram. So yeah, that's a good example. But again, Jose's a bit of a freak manager. He's the only place he hasn't won anything is us. The only team Jose Mourinho's managed and not won is us. So that says something. So him going back to Chelsea winning, is it a good? It probably just backs the way he is as a man and as a manager. But he came to Spurs and couldn't do it.
And he left them in a bit of a funk as well. You know, I mean, it was like they limped from manager to manager, but they still managed to win trophies. You know, and again, that comes down to the winning mentality, which Conte talks about, but didn't instill in this team this season when he had a chance by putting out that terrible team against Sheffield United.
That one will.
That to me is you know, that was unforgivable.
Yeah, that was. That really was.
I mean, Lucas Moura, God bless him for Amsterdam, but that is an ex-player. If ever I saw an ex-player,
he's done. I've seen him on Instagram. I'm seeing him. I know he's not. His mind's not in football in terms of top level football. He's a player. Dele Alli. He's the same sort of thing. He's got that mentality now. I can play football, and he could probably go somewhere in Brazil and play and get good money. But he's not that player that's going to make any difference to any club he goes to, in my opinion.
And we bought a player who's probably 10 times better than him, Danjuma. He's played one game from the bench, one prolonged game from the bench, and he scored. It was against Preston, so we always have to, you know, but he showed enough in that to say he's ahead of Moura by a country mile. And as we know, a country mile is bigger than an urban mile.
The Turin troll. I love that. I when you told me that tickled me for a long while. Turin troll. Now, people.
He only recently earned that. Recently earned that. But when you start slagging us off for lack of patience.
I was going to say that to people.
For blaming us for poor performances.
Sean had a mini melt. We've all had our mini meltdowns this season, last season. We all have them. I can't remember which game it was. I had a proper rant, and one of many probably. But so that was birthed out of the last reaction show, Turin troll. Now, I keep saying Conte's CV is what it is. He's one of the best managers in world football. All he's doing at the moment is showing to me that he doesn't care. But I hope this little bit of self-preservation, as you've mentioned, this, you know, pride, this I want to protect my brand means that now we're out of everything else. Top four is his focus. Because top four, yes, it will get us into the Champions League. And yes, it might get us an extra few million. And yes, it might get us a couple of players, or not a couple of players more, but certainly maybe a grade up of player more than we wouldn't if we didn't have Champions League. I just go by the past, though. We've had Champions League for a number of years. We were very good at getting into the Champions League. We ain't won it. We come close, or did we come close? Was it close? It wasn't really close because it was over.
Not on the night.
Not on the night. It was over in 10 minutes when the handball was done. And it wasn't a handball. But that's another story, people. We can't go back and
seconds. It wasn't even 10 minutes.
It wasn't even 10 minutes. It was. I was at the ground, not at the. I was at the Tottenham Hotspur ground, and we was all excited.
I was in Madrid.
God. Oh God.
Grim.
What must have been grim. We've got so much more we can talk about, but we're going to have to do this in sections, Sean. I think this is a little bit of therapy for me because I'd been away. I'd been away for a couple of weeks, and I'd kind of disassociated from Spurs a little bit to try and enjoy my holiday because every time I looked,
as you should,
as I had to, because I saw the bloody Sheffield United result, I was like, oh my God, what's going on? And I said to myself, that's it, enjoy your holiday. Milan again. Anyway, we'll have to do this again. I'm enjoying. We hadn't had talking points for a little while, people. That's because we've all been, life just takes over. But we're going to try and do this a little bit more regularly where possible, not every week. But we might be able to rotate that. We might even get some different hosts in there. We might even do a rotation host. We could do something. We've always got to try something, people. So any sort of any comments, any suggestions, we're always happy to listen and send them in through the various channels that we have. PRTv will continue to try and bring as much as we can. Sid's not here today, but he's with us in spirit. Pam's not here today. She's with us in spirit, and all the others are with us in spirit as well. But the main man, Sean Hell's here, who is the intro. Oh, dear me. That has tickled me. Anyway, anything you want to say before we go, Sean? Because I need to get something to
No, I mean, it's going to be difficult to clinch top four. Don't won't have it anyway. It's going to be difficult. Teams are playing tonight. Their catch-up games on us. It'll be interesting to see what it's like at the end of tonight. Yeah, Terry's posed a really important question. What is going to happen to PRTv and what's going to happen to the recruitment team if he's forced to out of a job? It's Tottenham Hotspur. It's a roller coaster. It's just I'd like a bit of glory. I'd like a little bit of we're in the top there that we've won a trophy, and it's silver and it's got those curly handles, and we used to be the record holders of it. Not that long ago, we've just been left in the slipstream of
dust.
Too many clubs, including ones too close to us.
In the dust. We've always got to think. I don't know how you can get a winning mentality unless you win. That doesn't compute.
Do you know what? Sam, that sums it up. Unless you win a trophy, you won't get that winning mentality. And
common sense.
Why then throw away the chances to win a trophy? I mean, the FA Cup this year in particular was, it was opening up.
And it could have been planned. It could have been planned such that, you might lose a few points in a couple of games, but plan that out. Look where the games are coming up. We had to do that for the World Cup. So they had to plan what they were doing for that. I don't get this. Why haven't we got any plans? Why? Why? So that's my point, people. I just want to see what's going on inside there. I want to pull the carpet back, see what's underneath there. Give me some sort of guidance, vision, understanding. If it's just about making money, is it just about top four? I don't mind if you're telling me that. It's up to me then if I want to watch the football. But just this, what's this team selection? Sheffield United, we lose. Throwing turmoil in the club. We don't want to be seeing this every single year. And it's been becoming a bit of a pattern. So, yeah, we are going to have to just ride this one out. I know there's a number of us that sold tickets and we don't want to go and see. I'm going to go and see. No, I'm not going to go and see Southampton because that's away. The next home game is... Who is it? We've got 2 away games because it's Everton next and then it's Brighton, isn't it? Yeah, I'm going to go Brighton. I ain't going to go Bournemouth.
So I'll be at Brighton too.
Oh, cool. We'll catch up then.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm done now. I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed this bit of therapy. It's been good. I've missed it for a few weeks. I
hope I was a bit more measured tonight and not as.
It could never be like it was the other night, mate. When you christened the TT, that has got to be one of the best shows I think I've done. It was quality. Top show from all. Big up everyone on the show. Thank you very much, Matthew.
Thank you, Matthew's not even a Spurs fan.
He's not even a Spurs fan.
No,
he's enjoying Paxton Road
he enjoys watching us, so he's more than welcome. More than welcome.
Good show, gents. Take care all. Thank you very much, Terry. David,
you, Terry.
as always. Dino, as always, thank you very much. We
David Clark from Leicester. What would we be without him?
Mark Cousins as well, Somerset Spurs. There's a load of you that we kind of see. We know all of you. Like I said, we're going to try and be a bit more interactive with getting you onto the show. If you would so wish, we can't do it all at once, but we're going to try and do something. We'll have a chat between us, Sean and Sid and Pav and Mike and Jodi and see what we come up with. We'll come up with something. But I think that's enough now. As I said, I'm probably rambling because I'm a bit hungry now. But Paxton Road TV, people, PRTv, will never let you down. Tottenham might, but we won't. Crystal Palace could score in a
brothel. Well, I've never heard that one.
But not on a pitch. Top show from all. Big up everyone on the show. Cheers, my friend. That's it, mate. I'm going to go out with the music and I'm going to be off straight away, Sean, because I need to go downstairs. So the music will take us out and then we'll catch up on the group. People, Where is it? I can't even bloody find it.
Come on, you
I'll do this one.
Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Come on.
It's just different.